All right, our fence rule for outliers. I kind of wrote this yesterday, like a little bit up here in the previous thing, but we have Q1 minus 1.5 times IQR. And we have Q3 plus 1.5 times IQR. So an outlier is any point more than 1.5 IQR from either end. I'm going to say of the box plot just because of the visual. Or I guess I should say from either end of the box in the box plot. So basically from Q1 or Q3. All right, so we've got our imaginary restaurants here, and their payrolls for both restaurants for Moose Burgers and McTofu. So we need to find the 5-number summaries for each one. So on your calculator, you'll run one variable stats for L1, and then you'll turn around and run it again for L2.
How do you switch it to L2?
I need to look at the buttons if I don't have it in front of me. So you hit second stat, and then it brings up your list, and then you can just pick which one you need.
Okay, thanks.
When I use them a lot, I remember what to click, but then if I'm not using it, I have to be like, wait, let me go look at it again.
How do we get to one variable stats again?
Stat, calc, one variable stats. That I do know.
I think that's all I'm gonna remember.
It's a pretty critical piece, so.
Yeah, I almost forgot it.
All right, what are our one variable stats for Moose Burgers going down?
110.
123, 133.5, 144, and 160.
And the other thing that I didn't put on there is the mean value, just to look at that. I don't know if you still have it up, but it's 134.4. What about McTofu?
100, 110, 120, 132, and 360.
And the mean for that one was 142.3. So, not that it's asking for it, but I'm going to need it to create my box plot and stuff. So, IQR, which is Q3 minus Q1. So, for Moose Burger, what would my Q3 minus Q1 give me?
But which one's Q3 and which one's...
The one that says Q3 and the one that says Q1.
Oh.
Huh?
21.
The 21 for Moose Burger. What about for McTofu?
22.
Now, just right off the bat, what do you notice about these numbers, as a whole? Our 2 5-number summaries.
They're kind of close. They have almost the same IQR.
What do you notice, though, about
It has a bigger max, a way bigger.
McTofu has a way bigger max, right? What do we think that might be?
An outlier.
An outlier, right? It's pretty drastic. So we just need to be aware of that. So I'm going to create a parallel box plot. So I'm going to do them like on top of each other. I'm going to go from 100 to 400 in increments of 50.
So we're just using one line for both.
Yep.
I was gonna ask that, but like not as smoothly. I was like,
I'm just like
I don't know what to say. I was like thinking it over.
I got you, Chris.
Thanks.
And this is salary in dollars. The left side is going to represent the restaurant.
Wait, do we add outliers to the box plot or no? Or is that where we do the little dot?
We're going to do it as a dot.
Okay.
So I'm going to do McTofu in blue. And I'm going to do Moose Burger in red.
It's evil.
Chick-fil-A's like videos that you watch of like the what not to do when you work there. They are circus burger.
Huh?
Wait, what?
Like the videos, so like you watch like what you're supposed to do at Chick-fil-A and then it's like what not to do. And like the what not to do videos are circus burger. Like it's like a joke. So it's like this restaurant, it's like a circus and it's a burger because obviously the whole thing is eat more chicken. So it's like, anyways, but they show you like what not to do with the example of circus burger. But anyway, so anytime I'm doing moose burger, I always think of circus burger.
Did you see, like, at one of the restaurants, they actually sell beef burgers? Like, I think it's at their main one or something, which is, like, kind of defeats the purpose.
Well, if it's the original one, that might make sense because the original one was not actually called Chick-fil-A.
What was it
Oh,
called?
the little...
It was Dorf House.
Yes.
the Dorf House.
And they have the little, like, door you can... I want to go there so
I've
bad.
been there. It's super cool.
Is it still rebranded Chick-fil-A now, or did they still call it the Dorf House?
It's still called the Dwarf House. It's called like the Chick-fil-A Dwarf House because that otherwise people don't really understand what it is. But
Yeah.
they still have like some of the like menu items that they've like gotten rid of here, which is kind of cool.
It's in Georgia, right?
Have you seen that burger?
You also have to
King?
go to the Luau if you go though.
Wait, where is that?
Truett's Luau is in Atlanta.
Atlanta.
It's technically on the northern side of Atlanta, but they have pineapple milkshakes. They're so good.
A pine-
That sounds so good.
I love pineapple,
Me
so.
too.
All right, so I'm gonna do McTofu first since it's the one I put on the bottom. So my min is at 100. Just trying to see. There's not a specific question that asks what my outliers are here, but I know that 360 is going to be an outlier. That's just easy to tell, but we can do the math for it if y'all want to see it.
So even though 360 is the max, since it's an outlier, we're not putting that in.
Right, so I'm going to
Okay.
choose, actually, so I am going to have to find the fence, so I'm going to have to do that. And I'll do that in a second. So then my Q1 is 110. Median is 120. And Q3 is 132. Now I'm gonna go down here and write in find the outliers for McTofu. So I'm gonna do Q3, so that's 132 plus 1.5 times, we already found our IQR is 22. Y'all have to multiply that and tell me what it is. I think it's like 153, but I'm not sure. Somewhere in that range. 165. Okay, I was sort of kind of not close. So 165 would be the upper fence for that, which tells me right away that 360 is an outlier. Which I already kind of knew that anyways, but so at 165, I'm going to put my upper fence value. And then I'm going to go all the way out to 360. And I'm going to draw a star. Showing that that's my outlier.
So is the ending line, did you put it at 132? For like the box plot?
This line
Yeah.
is at 165 because that's my upper fence level.
Okay.
Actually, hold please. I forgot we had a list of numbers and not just this. So I'm going to go up and look at my max number that's past 132 for McTofu, because if I have a list of numbers, then I use the highest number that's given to me. I forgot we had that. I was just looking at this, and that's
so
why
you
I did
wouldn't
that.
use the Q3 minus Q1 thing for this one?
Well, I use it to find my outlier, but because if I was just given the information you can see on my screen right this second,
You would do that.
then it's done correctly. But because I have a list of numbers up here, I want to look and see, okay, my Q3 is 132, so what number do I have? Do I have any numbers past that? That's not 360.
146.
So yeah, so I've got 146. So that's going to actually be my max value in here because that's the highest value that I have outside of the outlier. So I'm going to back this up a little bit. And do it like that. What happens when you can't see the whole paper at the same time? So again, just to reiterate, because I have a list of numbers, I look at what's my biggest number outside of the outlier, and I need to make sure that it's within that fence. So I know that 146 or whatever we said it was is inside of the 165 mark, so I'm good. If the next biggest number had been bigger than that, then I would have wanted to mark another outlier and then pick a number inside of it. If I had only what's listed on the screen at this very moment, then what I had originally with it going out to 165 would have been correct. So. All right, Moose Burger. I've got the max is 160, Q3 is 144. Probably beneficial to check and see if I have an outlier on the high end. I can pretty much say I won't have one on the low end. I think on the high end I'm good, but always good to check. So that would be 144 plus 1.5 times 21. You'll have to tell me what that number is.
175.5.
Okay.
I agree.
So, obviously, no outliers then. So I'm going to, min is 110. Q1 is 123. Median is 133. Lines are not. Q3 is 144. And then max is 160. And no outliers on that one, so we're good. Write a few sentences comparing the distribution. So some stuff I would say is that Moose Burger is mostly symmetric And I can say that because my median is 133.5 and my mean is 134.4. If those numbers are basically the same, it tells you that they are pretty much symmetric. So that's where I'm getting that mostly symmetric from. And I'm just going to say with a salary approximately $134 because both of those numbers rounded would round to 134. For McTofu, if you went into your list and you removed that outlier of 360, what you're going to find is that your numbers for your mean and your median are more similar. I'm not going to say that they're exactly the same, but they're going to be more similar. So just looking at our box plot, because I don't want to go in and remove it, what does this look like? Like, does it look like it's symmetric, skewed, anything?
It's
About symmetric, maybe a little skewed left.
Yeah. And obviously that's my drawing may not be perfect. So I would say is mostly symmetric as well. But the caveat you need to put with it is that there's an outlier of $360 on average. By looking at the median, the salary is approximately $120. And the reason I'm looking at the median, even though I've said it's approximately symmetric, is because without rerunning the numbers, without the outlier in it, it's going to throw things off. So that's why I wanted to look at the median.
So for both of those, should we look at the median or?
Since Mooseburger was pretty symmetric and there were no outliers, it really wouldn't matter that much. They happen to be almost the same. If you went in, don't die. If you went in and removed the 360 from your list and you reran your one number summary, they would be very similar. So I'm just saving us time by not having you rerun it, basically.
So how did you get that it was approximately 134? Like, is that just?
So the median is 133.5. The mean is 134.4. Both of those numbers, if I rounded to a whole number, would be 134,
Okay.
which is why I just said approximately 134. If you said 133 or something like that, like, that's fine.
Okay.
As far as both restaurants, I would say both have a similar IQR. One is 21 and one is 22. But overall, salaries at McTofu are lower than Mooseburger. And that kind of just answered question 4. Although, not exactly. Based on what we've been given, okay, if we don't remove the outlier, which restaurant pays the higher average salary? So that would be the X bar value. It's McTofu.
Oh.
Without removing the outlier. If we remove the outlier,
okay.
that's different. That's why I said, we kind of answered this, and I was like, oh, wait, no, we didn't really answer it, because we were talking about essentially if we removed the outlier in the previous one. We've already kind of said this, but why is the mean salary misleading? It's because McTofu has an outlier, which drastically changed the mean. All right, so using statistical justification, which restaurant would you rather work at?
Mooseburger.
Why?
Because if you like take out, I don't know, the outlier was like one person.
Right, which could have been like the manager, you know, the owner's son or something like that, or, you know, I'm saying that it might have been a daughter. I don't remember what the name was, but, right, there's things like that. But overall, Moose Burger has a higher starting salary. And if we ignore the outlier, a higher max salary as well. So if I had to pick, I'm choosing Moose Burger.
Would it also like count if I wrote something like on a test, like if we get rid of the outlier, like would that still make sense?
So is there like sometimes where it's just not really like for 6, it's not really like a clear cut answer. It's more just like
Right,
you have to
as
give
long as you
justification.
prove why and it makes something that makes sense. I mean, don't just be like, I choose McTofu because I like tofu. Like, don't,
Or the
no.
burgers.
Like,
Trust me, I won't say that.
obviously, like, that's not sufficient. As far as the rest of, so we have that other packet. I would say you probably have enough information that you could start on the homework problems to not have to do them all on Monday. But don't feel like you have to. Obviously, we haven't gone through all the examples yet, but there's not a ton of examples. And they're, overall, I would say we've done enough that you know what you're doing and you could start them if
So-
you wanted to.
So is homework due Monday or?
No, it won't be due till Tuesday.
Oh. Okay.
But we obviously have to get through the rest of that packet. But I would say overall you could do, you know, don't do the ones that are examples. Like if you're going to do them, do the ones that are homework. But
Okay.
we'll go over them.